Okay, hello. This is the Chaos Control webinar on keycodes and promotions. And before we begin, I'm just going to ask people to make sure that I can be heard. Andy's monitoring the YouTube comments, so if people can just give a quick comment to say that everything's okay. Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm Mike. I'm going to be telling you about the exciting new features we've been adding recently to do with keycodes. Some points to note on the webinar itself. We are monitoring the comments through the web chat on YouTube. You can also email training@chaoscontrol.com or use tweeters at chaoserp. For the best results, please set your YouTube image qualities using the cog in the bottom right corner to the HD setting. There'll be no need to take notes, as we will be sending out the webinar afterwards to everybody as a recorded session. This is live, so things could go wrong. If you do experience any problems, just comment in the chat window and we'll try and sort them out. Okay, so just to go over what we'll be looking at today, we've developed 3 cool new features around promotions. So Chaos Control's always been quite strong on the promotion side. It's about to get even stronger with these additions to keycodes. The 3 things we're going to be covering are, the first one is to do with setting up monetary value discounts against keycodes, which can be applied to sales order headers. Now, in the past, that's not been possible. You had to supply discounts against the item lines in terms of value, but now you can specify a value discount against the header, so that's pretty good. We'll also be looking at how we can set up keycodes that can be used multiple times on sales orders. So traditionally, of course, you could only have one keycode associated to a sales order. Now we're allowing multiple discount codes to be applied to the same sales order. And finally, we're going to be looking at a new feature called Alias Keycodes, which allow us to create specific versions of keycodes for individual customers that act a little bit like vouchers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is switch over to Chaos Control and show you how some of these things work. I'm going to go into the promotion section of Chaos Control and open up the keycode list. Now, we've set some of these keycodes up already. This particular one that I'm going to do now, we haven't set up in advance, so I'm going to create it. Don't worry, that's all part of the script. Okay, so new keycode, and we're going to call this disk 10. And this is going to be a value discount against the header. So we're going to put that this is a £10 discount. And in the middle grid, I'm going to create a new line and say if the order value is between 0 and 9999, we're going to specify a £10 discount. And I'm just going to click enable so that takes effect. And it will apply a £10 discount against the whole order. We're going to just limit that by to retail customers only. And we're going to save that keycode. Okay, so I'm going to now create a sales order so we can see that in action. Select customer. Right, in order to see this work properly, what I'm going to have to do is unhide a system hidden grid column. Now, some of you may recall from the roadshow we did earlier on that one of the new features in our new release of Khaos Control is the ability to configure the grids so that you can hide columns or move columns around that you don't want to see or want them to be in a different position. But in this particular case, what I'm going to do is unhide a column that's already there. So I'm going to go into configure grid for the sales order item, and I'm going to unhide this end column, which is the discount header amount gross. And just to make it easy, I'm going to drag this over just so that it's before the net total and plonk that into the grid. So that's appeared there just before net total, and that's going to help demonstrate how this discount is working. Now, you don't need that column to be in the grid for this to work, but it just aids the demonstration. Okay, so we're going to add an item to the sales order, which is this golf driver. I'm going to change the quantity to 3. And at the moment, total is £153. Once I apply the discount key code that I've just created, which was disc 10, you'll see that come down by £10. But what's happened here is we've got a new box over here on the additional tab, which is showing us the discount value as an amount. And the discount gross column that I put into the grid earlier is showing £10 against it, because there's only one item line on here at the moment, so the whole thing is being assigned the value of £10. Just a moment, Andy wants to say something to me.
I was just wondering if you could speak up slightly. Martin's struggling here. That's okay. Thank you.
Yes, okay, I shall try to project. Use my actor's voice. I'll move the microphone a little bit closer as well. Hopefully that will help. Okay. So we have one line on the sales order. We have a £10 value discount against the item line so far. I'm going to add another item line to the sales order. Is a bubble wrap. And we've still got £10 off the whole order. But this time what's happened is the system has now attributed that £10 proportionally against the two lines that I've got on the sales order. So the total, the grid is still showing a total of £10, but that's broken down as £9.38 and 62 pence. Okay, so that value can be overridden manually, and if it is, the system will recalculate. If you use the little reset button next to it, it will just go away and fetch what it should be based on the prevailing conditions of the order. In this case, the fact that the key code is assigned to it. Okay, I'm just going to save that sales order now. And what we're going to do now is just show you how we can do a return of that sales order and what the implications are of doing a customer return. Just to show you that the customer can't get the discount and then return the goods and keep the discount. Okay, so in order to do the return, of course, I need to issue the sales order. So I'm going to do that now quickly. Make sure there's no payment issues. You have to pay by cash. And nip through to the invoice manager. Go through the motions of printing the invoice. And then I'm going to issue it. And once that's issued, I'm going to pop back into the sales order and do a return. Against one of the driver stock items. Okay, so we've got 3 on there at the moment, so I'm going to do a return and only specify the return of one of them. Choose F1. Do a direct exchange. Save that customer return, process the customer return. And if I just pop through to credit note, we can see that there's one anti-slice driver on the credit note, but it's carried through £3.13, which is a third of the £9 odd that we were seeing on the original sales order. It's carried that through onto this credit note, and likewise on the exchange note, we have a very similar situation, so that those two do indeed cancel each other out. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers the ability now to specify header discounts against sales orders. We are, by the way, taking questions via the chat window at the end of the session, so we've reserved around about 10 minutes to do that. So if anybody has any burning questions that they want to just jot down as we go, we'll answer those at the end. Okay, so next we're going to be looking at how to use multiple key codes on one order. So in this example, we're going to use 2 key codes. And now we have the concept of what we call a tracking key code and discount codes. So sales order, I'll just show you quickly, can have a single tracking key code up here in the key code section, and it has a grid of multiple X number of discount key codes. And we'll see the difference between those in a moment. Back into promotions. Now these key codes we have already got set up. I just need to find them. So the first one is, so this is a key code which is again limited to retail, and its description is free Halloween delivery. So what we're saying is orders that are £20 or over are subject to a delivery amount of 0, so that's active, just telling us that we have free delivery. We specified the type of this key code as being a tracking key code. Now that doesn't do anything to the system per se, it just makes it clear for demonstration purposes that this is a tracking key code. The type isn't an actual system value that it recognizes. The only thing that is important is whether it's a discount code or not. So this column down here, if this is ticked, then it can reside in the grid section of the key codes against the sales orders, so you can have multiple ones of those. But if that's not ticked, then it can only be used as a tracking key code in the top section. So of course the tracking key code is something that you would use in sales summary to, as in the traditional sense, tracking a campaign, seeing who's ordered off it, etc. Whereas a discount code can't be tracked through sales summary, but it can affect the discounts and values on a sales order. So this is the first key code we're going to apply to the sales order. And if I should just show you quickly the second key code. So this one again is saying orders over £20. Hang on a minute, there's something not right. This should have the mask on, shouldn't it? Sorry, bear with us a minute. Oh, okay. Weird. Must have selected the wrong thing. Okay, so this is a subsequent Halloween offer. This is marked as a discount code. It's not limited by company class. It hasn't got anything in the middle grid, but what it does have is items in the bottom grid. So we've got a Halloween mask here, which is specified as 100% discount, and it's an auto-add product. And we have Halloween packs here that all carry a 10% discount. Okay, so let's see this in action. If I create a new sales order, go to Keycodes and open up the tracking key code and find the first one. This is the one that carries the free delivery, if you remember. And I'm also going to specify using the new button down here. Now you notice that the key code list itself is only limited to any key code that's been specified as a discount code, of which there is only one. So I can select that. And if I add a product onto the order, and make sure that it's more than £50. It's not right either. Oh, okay, it was £20 including the delivery. Okay, so I've made it £20, more than £20, and what's happened is the delivery's gone to 0 and the Halloween mask has appeared. I got worried there for a second. So what we're seeing here is a combination of the offer that was against the tracking key code, which is the free delivery, and combined with that, the offer that was against the discount code, which is the Halloween mask being auto-added at 100% discount. And of course, if we add any of those Halloween packs, then we'll be able to see that those attract the 10% discount as well. Okay, that was a little bit rocky, but we got there in the end. I'm going to save that sales order, but I'm not going to process it yet. This sales order is going to be used again in a moment though. Because we've bought some Halloween offerings, we're going to subsequently use that to generate our last section demonstration, which is the Alias Keycodes. So we'll come back to this order in a moment. So the third and final change to the key codes is what I mentioned earlier as being alias discount codes. So these are codes that are generated per customer, and the customer can only use them once. And once they're used, the system will track the fact that they're used and mark them as such that they can't be used again. Okay, so what we've got here, if I go back into promotions again and look at the key code list, we've got a key code setup called X16, which is marked as a discount code. And you'll notice here there is a new alias tab. And on this alias tab, we have instances of alias codes against this particular key code. So the alias code is a unique number. You can see it's prefixed with the number of the key code, and it's against particular customers. So these are ones that we've added in against the key code manually, which we can do here. We can add new customers into that, and that will system generate a new alias code for that customer using this format, X16, and then a unique number. But what we can also do is have the system automatically create those based on previous conditions, which is even more powerful. So the example we're going to show you is we're going to generate alias key codes for particular customers that have bought our Halloween packs. If they do so, what we're going to do is issue them with an alias key code or a voucher to use at Christmas time to get additional discounts off some Christmas products. Okay, so to do that, all we need to do is set up the alias key code, which is what we've got here. We've got Christmas discount of 25%. We've specified our Christmas products that we want to discount. In this case, it's Christmas baubles. We've specified a 25% discount off these bauble products. And because we've said this is an alias key code, we could, as I said earlier, manually specify which customers are going to get it. But to demonstrate how this can be automated, what we've done is added functionality into the telesales rules. So I've switched now onto the telesales rule tab at the bottom. And I'm just going to open up this new telesale rule, which is 2016 Christmas discount 25%. And all this is doing is forming a conduit between the Halloween key code and the Christmas key code. So here in our trigger section for the telesales rule, we're saying if anybody uses this key code, the Halloween key code, then we want to trigger an alias key code based on the X16 Christmas offer. Now, of course, we could specify multiple conditions against this telesale rule. We could make it more complicated. The telesales rule itself could carry some promotional value, but we've kept it simple. All it's really doing is linking those two key codes together. So anybody that uses this, silently in the background, no prompting, the system will automatically issue an alias key code for every customer that uses the Halloween key code. So going back to our sales order again that we created earlier, Rita Richards actually used the Halloween key code. What I'm going to do now is complete this order and issue it through. The system will create an alias key code for Rita Richards. So I'm going to make sure again that payment's not an issue. Stick that on account. Go through and issue this invoice. Actually, before I do that, I've just been reminded of something else which is quite key. We've also introduced a way of notifying the customer, in this case Rita Richards, that there is an alias code that she can use. So before I do issue that, I'll just quickly pop into the email manager. I can show you that we've got a trigger rule set up for the emails to say that once an order has moved from the issue stage into the issued stage, i.e. it has been issued, we should generate an email based on this key code template up here. And if I just show you that key code template, it says to the customer, based on the existing tags, dear contact, etc., thank you for your order. As a thank you for using our special discount code, we've granted you this special discount code. Sorry, I read that wrong. We've given you the special discount code, and it will list the alias key code that the system has generated in the email, so the customer knows the reference. Of course, it wouldn't be much good if we didn't tell them about it, because they couldn't phone up then and use it. So this email contains the actual unique code for them, and we just go on to tell them that that code can be used at Christmas time for 25% off Christmas baubles. Okay, so that was quite important to mention. So if I now issue that order, I'm going to first of all pop back into the key code just to see if the system has indeed generated an alias key code against X16 for Rita Richards. Thankfully it has, which is great. So at the bottom here, Rita Richards, that wasn't on the list before, has got a new number, 87191. So when she uses her Christmas offer, she has to quote that number. And we're going to see that in action, of course, because I'm going to create a new sales order and show you how that works. First of all, I'm going to create a sales order against somebody that hasn't got one of these alias key codes, just to show you that it's not possible to use it. And hopefully I'll pick somebody that's not already in this list. Generic enough. And what we need to do here, now this is this is a slight bug in this version of the software. This has been sorted out since. But what we need to do is specify a tracking key code before we can use an alias key code. In the fixed version, all we need to do is specify the alias key code. So if I try and specify an alias key code against this customer, it doesn't get listed because the system knows it's not applicable. If I create a new one against Rita Richards, hopefully, I specify the tracking key code, which I said before you shouldn't have to do. I can then specify a discount key code, and because it knows Rita Richards has an alias key code, it lists it there as being 25% off baubles, which I can select. And of course then, any of the bauble products, and 25% is going to apply. Now, of course, the beauty of this is, once the order is saved and processed, the system will mark that alias key code as having been used, and therefore Rita Richards won't be able to use it again. So it's a one-time deal. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the end of what we needed to show you today. So just to recap what we covered, I showed you how to specify header value discounts against key codes and use those on sales orders. The discount against the header, by the way, for the sales order doesn't have to be against a key code. You can just manually go in there against any sales order and just plug a value in. But obviously it works effectively against key codes too. We also showed you how to use multiple key codes against sales orders and how to use alias key codes. So we're going to hang around for 10 minutes or so now and just take any questions that anybody might have on the chat.
Those ones. Do the alias codes work with the website? Alias, no? Is it sent individually or discount if it applies to key code?
Mike, I've got a question from Ollie. He'd like to know which version this functionality is available from and whether or not it will integrate with Shopify.
Okay, I do have the version here. I should have wrote that out at the beginning. It's from 108 onwards. So this, as you can probably see, is 109. Yeah, so anybody who's got 108 onwards should have the majority of what I've just showed you just now. In terms of web interfaces, I didn't check that before I came in, I've got to be honest, but there's no, it will be in the standard XML. In terms of the header value discount can be brought in when you're importing sales orders. And because the rest of it is part of the key code, then again, that will be available too. I'm not quite sure about the Shopify, sorry, the Shopify specific integration though. So we'll have to check on that, Ollie, and get back to you.
Thanks for that, Ollie. We've also got a question from Scott at DCH. Will the alias key codes work with other integrations as well as that? So it's kind of revisiting what Ollie just asked.
Yes, there will be in the standard web interfaces. I'm not quite sure how they'll work in terms of importing an order that has a specific customer alias code on it, in terms of if it's already been used, whether that order will be rejected. I'll check on the detail of that, but I would imagine that's exactly what would happen. The order would be kicked out because the key code couldn't be used because it already had been used. But the ability to specify tracking key codes separate from discount key codes and to be able to specify multiple discount key codes in the integration is definitely supported. Okay, has anybody got any more questions there on the chat?
Do the expiry dates work with the alias codes? The expiry dates do work. So if you put an expiry date, if there's an alias code and the customer tries to use it after the expiry date, it won't be available in the dialogue for them to add to the sales order.
Okay, I don't know if you heard what Lindy was saying there, but basically she was saying that the expiry code for key codes will work effectively with alias key codes. So if you do want to limit them to a certain time span, you can.
We've not got any more questions on the live chat at the moment, Mike. So unless there's anything else you want to cover. I think probably...
Okay, well, we'll hang around for a couple more minutes. People can start logging off if they want, but if you do have anything you want to ask us, then just type away.
Mike, do you want to let people know about the next webinar while we're waiting for people to
That's a good idea.
ask questions?
That's a good idea, Lindy. Is it the CRM one?
Yes, CRM, Congo.
Okay, so the next webinar is going to be covering features around CRM, delivering better value to your customers and their experience using Comlog, etc. I don't think there's anything particularly new that we've added into that area, but I could be mistaken.
There are a couple of bits
Couple.
that people might have missed. Yes, sorry. There are a couple of bits that people might have missed. Being able to add multiple documents to a Comlog entry and things like that. So,
Okay, that sounds good.
I think one of the reasons for picking that subject as well, Mike, just to chip in, is that we get a lot of feedback from people that they don't make the most of that functionality in the system. And the inbuilt CRM potentially revolutionises what you can do in terms of looking after your customers and turn them into repeat offenders in terms of purchasing from you. So I think that's one of the reasons for focusing on that.
Okay, brilliant. If anybody has any feedback or wants to contact us after the webinar on how this went, quality, etc., or any suggestions for the future, then obviously please let us know. Okay, I'm going to be logging off soon, so we'll hang around for another 30 seconds or so. Okay, thank you everyone for taking the time to come and share with our webinar today. I hope it was useful. Looking forward to delivering more knowledge in the future.